What's up, YouTube? Welcome to Dragonfly Code. My name is Kevin. Welcome to my nerdery humble abode. And in today's episode, I'm gonna be kind of doing a quick introduction of who I am, just because I haven't done an introduction within of itself yet in any video. This is the first video on the channel, and I'm gonna be diving into my issues with the current console calculator / GUI calculator that I'm working on. And you might be asking yourself, well, haven't you followed a tutorial on a calculator? That's pretty easy. You are absolutely right. But this is my own calculator, all right? There's definitely no tutorial that you will find that will create the calculator that I have come up with, unless somebody watches this video and they decide to create that tutorial. When I was like middle grade, early junior high, I was real intrigued with reading books. I did that a lot. R.L. Stine, Goosebumps. In fact, he's one author that motivated me to want to be a writer. In fact, you can see it right there. I have a BFA in creative writing for entertainment. At that same age, 11 years old, 1994, I was introduced to this thing called the internet and websites. Fun fact, in 1994, only 35% of public schools actually had access to the internet. And of course, probably there's some kind of percentage where they actually didn't allow students to use the internet. But I went to a school that not only had access to the internet, but they would allow kids to get on the internet. And that's how I was introduced to this thing called the internet and web development. And I started doing stuff in 1994. I never did learn JavaScript. And I know that sounds weird because I do consider myself a web developer. And let me explain, like I said, I started in 1994, and you have to understand, back in that day, a lot of internet browsers actually warned users that JavaScript was running in the background. And one, they would either suggest that you disable it, or two, it would automatically do it for you. And not to mention, some schools, regardless if you were on a website that was for video games or somewhere you shouldn't be, like pornography, ladies and gentlemen. So other than blocking those, some schools also blocked websites that had any kind of JavaScript, because JavaScript wasn't really that well trusted. So that's how I was introduced to JavaScript as a 9-year-old, because it wasn't very well popular among consumers and just, even the web browsers didn't trust it. They're like, yo, dude, this got JavaScript running. You might wanna, we suggest you disable it. So I think that should pretty much explain why I never learned JavaScript. Even when I got in high school and I started building websites professionally, even after in my early 20s, I still did it. I never had any clients that required JavaScript. Therefore, I never learned JavaScript. So I'll probably even blog my experience self-learning, self-teaching JavaScript as well, because now we're in this modern age and I would love to get back into web development. And I think it's probably about time that I get off my butt and actually learn it, because now it's got a better reputation. It's far more respected. Browsers don't even warn you if it's running. All right. So with that being said, like I said, I'm also self-teaching myself Python. I will get into the nitty-gritty of the details about that. And like I don't know if I mentioned it in this video, because I've already re-recorded this video a couple of times, but I decided I was going to create a calculator. As you can see, you probably barely see it, all right? But we have pencil, so it's probably a little hard to see. Letters is going to be the letters is going to be the buttons in my calculator. And the letters are going to represent a number based on the letter's position in the English alphabet. So A1, Z26. And it's basically going to work just like a calculator. One iteration, though, is we can see right here, it's going to basically, when you hit a button, it's going to show you the actual number that is represented for that letter. And then there's a bar down here that in my redesign, I'm going to put it right under the other bar. It's actually going to display the actual letter that you actually typed. And then it's also going to translate the answer to a letter as well, or letters. And I'm also going to try to add a decimal button. Try to get that working. I've never seen that in any tutorial I've done. A percent button, I'm going to try and get that working. Haven't seen any tutorial in that done. I already created a delete button in a tutorial GUI that I was following. They actually didn't create the delete button. he just got done with it and he was like, all right, add buttons to it, add a delete button. So I was like, I'm gonna add a delete button, and I added a delete button. It was actually pretty easy. So yeah, so that's pretty much my thing, and now we're gonna jump into it. All right, so this has been the vein of my existence, ladies and gentlemen, for the past, I want to say week. I've been trying to get this thing to work and function. You can see right here all of the different iterations, the restarts that I have done in trying to do this calculator, and it has been a pain in my something. All right, so let me just kind of show you this. Let's restart this. Oh, wait, it still was running. I never even used it from a previous recording. So the idea is not only is it going to be able to calculate letters, and the letters are going to represent a number, there's also going to be a tab for a regular calculator. I'm currently working on getting everything to function in a console calculator first. So one thing that we're doing is, instead of asking the user, hey, give us a letter or a number. All right, what kind of operator do you want? Okay, now give us another letter. Or instead of doing that, I have it so that they can just do this. All right, give us all three at the same time. You just got to put spaces between it, no equal sign. And they can do any combination. They could go A plus A. There's going to be multiplication, so they can do multiplication, division, subtraction. They'll be able to do negatives. So yeah, my idea is they'll even be able to do something like this. All right. They'll be able to do a negative letter as well. Why? Because the negative is going to be attached to an actual number. But, of course, that is going to be a little pickle. That's something I'm not even working on right now because, well, that would be confusing at this moment in time. And that's because of how everything is set. So how this actually is set right here is it breaks everything up. So I have a split for the user. We can actually go to the, I think it's the user input. Yeah, the user input. Well, you can see it right here. All right, the user underscore input equals user.strip. So that basically breaks it up, which I can actually show you what that would look like. So if we come down here, we say print input, user input, and then we're going to have to run just this page only. So it's still going to ask us for an equation. We're going to go, all right, negative s multiplied by 34. We're going to hit enter. All right, and you can see right here what it did is it put the negative and the s inside the same area, along with, of course, that's separated and that's separated. So that's why I'm going to work on a negative completely later, because it breaks everything down. It's irrelevant if the negative is inside the inside here with a number, because, you know, it'll, once it's converted to an integer, it'll do what it's supposed to do anyway. But unfortunately, the first thing that we do is we look inside a dictionary for this. For the S, actually, not the negative number. We look inside a dictionary. It will find it in the dictionary. So if we go to the dictionary, which is right here, we come to S. Here it is right here. It's saying, all right, you now have to, basically, we're going to use the value of S in this dictionary to do all of our math. All right. But unfortunately, as we could see, it will actually look for negative S in here. And guess what's not in here? Negative S. So there's that. I could probably do some kind of a split similar to this, but I think it'll just be easier to increase this dictionary and add in negatives, which will, of course, represent their negative number. I think that would be easier than me trying to figure out how to split it from this, look for S in the dictionary, and then recombine these two back together. I'm sure I could do it. I have learned various things, not that I've messed with that aspect of it, but I mean, this thing is just blowing my mind. Too many errors. If it's not one thing, it's another thing. And yes, some people are probably asking, why don't I just put this all on one page? And that's because I'm trying to take everything that I've learned and add it to this calculator. To me, it's irrelevant if it's what we would call pragmatical, like like an experienced programmer would create what I'm creating in a far better, less lines of code. To me, is irrelevant right now. I just need to get it to freaking work, and then I'll worry about, all right, let's see if there is a better streamlined way than I could create this calculator. You know, one thing at a time. I'm a beginner, so everything in steps. Which is actually what I originally did too. The first thing when I started doing this is I basically got all the math to work, and it wasn't they weren't even inside functions. So all I had done was this, and I just needed this to work. Once it got done, it was like, all right, now I need to add in. Now we're going to add in the user the ability to where they could do any kind of math, a number, numbers, letters, numbers, so on and such forth. So that's pretty much what I'm doing, what I'm attempting to do. It's been the vein of my learning Python programming, trying to create my own thing, mind-blowing, exploding, irrational. It's been one thing. It's a lot. I mean, ironically, I've went to Stack Overflow. I think I have 4 or 5 topics on Stack Overflow. Now that I accidentally opened up something that isn't going to open. Actually, you can't see it right now, but I'm going to Stack Overflow to see what I got. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 4. I have 4 topics on Python at various points that I asked because I got lost. Like, for example, one iteration problem that I had was, hey, I need to translate the answer that the user has into letters. How do I do that? And ironically, they actually did it by using an indexing, which I was like, oh, I was already using indexing. Why didn't I think of that? It's like, I feel like an idiot now, but whatever. You know, I'm a beginner, so it's something that I knew, but I wasn't comprehending in the sense that I could use it like I wanted it to do something else. But, you know, I guess c'est la vie is the life of a newbie, I guess. But anyway, this has been my first programming learning Python blog video. I hope you enjoyed it in some fashion or form. Hopefully the next time you see this, I actually have it freaking working. And I will see you in the next video. So a quick pro quo, I'm hopefully going to be uploading videos 3 times a week. All right. I haven't figured out what days, but it's definitely going to be 3 times a week. So there's that one for you. So I hope to see you on the next video. Hope you'll subscribe. Hope you enjoyed this video in some fashion or form. I hope you'll stick around for the writing tutorials that I'll be doing, the web development tutorials that I'll be doing. And once I feel comfortable enough doing some Python tutorials, and of course, blogs like this where I show my horrible programming skills and probably could fix something real simple if you're watching it. Like, this guy's a dumbass. I see what's wrong with his code. And no, I'm not talking about all the red lines. I know exactly what those are, and I could easily fix those, all right? There's just a completely different function that is not working, which I guess I will quickly show you real quick, that I'm having issues with. I got it to work, and then it's not working. So if we come to the input function, this is the part. So this is where we tell the entire program we need to figure out what the user inputted. All right. Did they input a letter? So the first one is checking if we have 2 letters. All right. If we have 2 letters, then you're going to execute the ABC function. If we have a letter and a number, you're going to do the ABC num function. If we have a number and a letter, you're going to do the num ABC function. And then, of course, if there's only numbers, you're going to do the num function. This is the part that I'm having trouble with, is that when I type 2 letters, it will actually execute this. And then when I end up typing any number, like for these 2 functions right here, it immediately jumps down to this one and it gives an error, or sometimes it'll try to access this one and it gives an error, and I don't know why it's doing it. Anyway, Well, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video in some fashion or form. And remember, beginning programmers, amateurs, and wannabes alike, don't stop programming and don't get stuck in tutorial hell. Make sure you come up with your own ideas, even if you're going through hell while you're trying to learn and program your own stuff.